Today, a small change in Washington that could have a very big impact on your wallet, your supply chain, and the basic honesty of American commerce. The Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration quietly rolled out the first phase of a modernization to its National Consumer Complaint Database, the NCCDB. Sounds boring. It's not. It's the first official channel specifically designed to let truckers and shippers report bad brokers, the middlemen who can make or wreck America's freight economy. This is the first time the agency has put a clean public-facing lane in its whistleblower system for broker abuse, non-payment, and fraud. That matters because if you can't report the crime, you can stop the crime. According to the agency's new portal, there are now 9 complaint categories including freight brokers and household goods brokers. Drivers can file online and this is key, get updates from FMCSA. The point isn't paperwork, it's visibility. For years, carrier complaints about non-payment, double brokering, and coercion fell into a black hole. Now, at least on paper, the government is promising a trial you can follow. That's a start. Why now? Because freight fraud exploded while regulators looked the other way. Industry data show a dramatic rise in identity theft, cargo theft, and ghost carrier scams over the last 2 years. One benchmark found fraudulent activity targeting brokers, carriers, and shippers jumped 27% in 2024. Another review tracked double-digit increases in thefts quarter after quarter, with organized crews using fake MC numbers and spoofed emails to hijack loads. When the bad guys realized there was no cop on the beat, they did not slow down. They scaled up. We're not just talking about a few rogue operators. This has been systematic. Major outlets documented everything from a $40,000 ransom demand after thieves used a stolen carrier identity to steal a load of yogurt. Yes, yogurt. To holiday season scams that diverted entire truckloads of toys. Meanwhile, prosecutors say international call centers helped set up double brokering rings to victimize legitimate carriers. This is not a YouTube conspiracy. It's in federal filings and national business pages. So the NCCDB update is overdue. Overdrive, which follows this industry more closely than most Washington reporters follow Congress, called it a win for drivers. An upgrade years in the making after GAO flagged the complaint system failures back in 2023. Translation: the government knew the system was broken. They just didn't fix it until the fraud became impossible to ignore. But here's the bigger story. No one at DOT wants to say outright. This is also an admission that the broker market has been allowed to operate in the shadows. For a decade, the rule on the books 49 CFR 371-.3 has said carriers have a right to see the financial record of a broker transaction. In practice, as FMCSA itself conceded, transparency has been rare. Brokers force drivers to sign contracts waiving the rights. Try that with your bank account records and see how fast a regulator shows up. In trucking, it became normal. Last November, FMCSA finally published a proposed rule to strengthen broker transparency, precisely because drivers were getting stiffed and stonewalled. The docket drew about 6,900 comments, most from truckers who were tired of guessing where their money went. That rule is still crawling through the bureaucracy. We're now told the next step might slip into 2026. So when Washington says it's listening, understand what that means. Drivers are screaming into a void, and someone in an office is moving the stapler from one pile to another. Meanwhile, The fraud metastasized. Fraud prevention firms and load boards published warning all summer. Rising cargo theft, strategic diversions, sophisticated impersonations. It's not subtle anymore. Criminals impersonate legitimate carriers, spoof email domains, and grab freight in minutes. One security briefing warned that US businesses face a sharp rise in supply chain fraud this year, driven by stolen credentials and lax verification. Real people pay for that. Small carriers that run on razor-thin margins and shippers whose insurance premiums are going straight up. So will the NCCDB fix it? Not alone. But it changes incentives. When reporting is easy and public patterns emerge, journalists see them, congressional staffers see them, and yes, plaintiffs' lawyers see them. Suddenly, a faceless complaint becomes a case. Remember, FMCSA also tells drivers they are protected from coercion and can file whistleblower complaints. If the agency connects those dots, coercion, non-payment fraud, you could see real enforcement momentum for the first time in years. Of course, there's a reason this problem dragged on. When money moves through opaque middlemen, someone gets rich. Washington has been remarkably comfortable with that arrangement. Ask yourself why a basic right, show me the settlement sheet, needed a decade of petitioning by owner-operators and small business groups. Ask why the upgrade only arrived after a tidal wave of thefts and an uproar in trucking forums and industry press. And ask why the next formal rule steps was just punted into 2026. It's not because the issue is complex. It's because opacity is profitable for someone. The people who actually move the freight know this. Go read the comment sections on industry sites this week. Drivers are sharing step-by-step accounts of how they were ghosted on payment, handed bogus rate cons, or pressured to haul under unsafe terms. They've been told to accept take it or leave it contracts that silence the rights. When they talk to regulators, they hear submit a complaint. Now they finally can do that in a place built for it. Let's hope it's not just a suggestion box. There's another piece you need to see clearly. Fraud thrives when verification is weak. Some load boards have introduced multi-factor authentication, stronger password rules, and identity checks. That's good. But if one major platform tightens security while another drags its feet, the criminals just move sideways. A national baseline for digital identity in freight is not overregulation. It's common sense, like locking your front door. Right now, America's front door is on a latch hook and the porch light is off. So here's what a serious plan would look like. First, make the NCCDB more than a filing cabinet. Drivers who submit broker complaints should receive case numbers, timelines, and outcomes. Aggregate the data, publish trend reports quarterly, and name repeat offenders. If a specific MC number or brokerage racks up a pattern of verified complaints, suspend their authority pending review, just as you would for a motor carrier with an unfit safety rating. If DOT is willing to suspend a trucker for safety violations, it should be willing to sideline a broker for systematic non-payment and fraud. The law already gives the agency tools. It needs the will to use them. Second, finalize the transparency rule now, not in 2026. Ban contractual waivers of 371-3. Require brokers to proactively share settlement records on request within 48 hours, no exceptions, with statutory penalties for non-compliance. Tie that to a modern identity standard for tendering loads, digital signatures, verified domains, and one-time codes for rate confirmations. If your teenager needs two-factor authentication to log into Instagram, your $150,000 shipment should need at least that to change hands. Third, treat organized double brokering the way DOJ treats organized retail theft. Because that's what it is. A coordinated criminal enterprise hitting interstate commerce. The DOT Inspector General has already exposed international rings using fake authorities. Use that blueprint. Create a joint FMCSA FBI freight fraud task force with subpoena power and a dedicated tip line linked to the NCCDB. Publicly announce indictments. Deterrence works when people see consequences. Right now, they don't. If you're wondering whether any of this will actually happen, consider two benefits. Shippers do. Fewer stolen loads, fewer insurance spikes, small carriers do. Fewer unpaid invoices and fewer scams. Even honest brokers do, because cleaning out the crooks raises trust in the entire middle layer. The only losers are the people who learn how to game a system that Washington failed to police for years. And that's the point. The purpose of government isn't to invent new rules for law-abiding citizens. It's to enforce the ones we already have against people who are breaking them. One last question. If it took a fraud wave, a GAO rebuke, and years of petitions just to get an overdue tech upgrade, what does that tell you about the priorities in our capital? It tells you the most important economic network in the country, trucking, can scream for help and be ignored until the losses hit headlines. Drivers were treated like a rounding error. They aren't. They are the logistics system. If the NCCDB's new broker channel becomes a real enforcement pipeline, you'll know because the scams will drop, the indictments will rise, and you'll hear fewer stories about hijacked yogurt and missing holiday toys. If it turns into another web forum nobody reads, you'll know that too, because the fraud will keep climbing and the rulemaking will keep slipping into the future. Which outcome we get is not a mystery. It is a choice. For now, the door is open. If you've been burned by a bad broker, non-payment, identity theft, double brokering, you finally have a government channel built to hear you. Use it. Flood it. Demand receipts. The people who actually move America deserve a system that moves for them. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and hit that bell so you never miss an update. Your support lets me keep bringing you more content just like this. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.